Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to conduct classes for the subject of life orientation, life skills 212 or LOLS12 as shortly known. My name is Mr. Teddy Shikukumwa, and I will be taking you through this particular module to prepare you quite well for an examination. I prefer, first of all, us to look at the action verbs. The action verbs that are appearing here are not taken from somewhere, but these are the verbs that are taken from your module, the beginning of your module. They are given as guiding verbs that you can that are utilized in a question paper to draft up the questions. So therefore, you must understand the meaning of all these verbs for you to be able to handle or tackle any question that comes your way. Once you have a precise understanding of each verb, you are not going to struggle when it comes to answering questions that are asked in examination. So therefore, we are going to have a look at these verbs one by one. Let's first of all look at the word analyze. If you see the word analyze, the question requires you to examine information in detail. So you have to go into the details when you are answering questions that is required to you to analyze. You are giving the analysis of a certain phenomenon. Calculate. When the question requires to calculate, of course, it does not necessarily mean that you have to take a calculator and give an answer, but it can be a numerical answer from given figures. The figures is given, then you have to give them the answer in numerical terms. Comment. The word comment requires you to discuss briefly by giving positive as well as negative points on a certain aspect. While when the question requires you to compare, which might come in examination, it requires you to draw a conclusion about the similarities as well as the differences. Similarities and differences. So we are looking at these two words, the similarities as well as the differences of certain aspect. Contrast. When you are contrasting, you are definitely looking only at the similarities of a certain aspect. While when you are required to criticize, simply giving the reasonable judgment after weighing facts carefully. So you have to look at the facts and you weigh them, and then you will give the reasonable judgment thereafter. Deduce. When you are deducing, you use the information provided in order to reach to the conclusion. Before you conclude, then you look at the information that is provided, and then thereafter, then is when you are driving to the conclusion. Define. This is a quite popular action verb that does not miss any question paper, so which means that in any examination this word will definitely come. So if you are required to define, what are you giving? You give the precise, brief meaning and features. Remember, this is brief. It should be brief. You don't have to beat around the bush, but you just have to come to the core meaning of the word in short. The question may also require you to demonstrate. If you are asked to demonstrate, what are you doing? You show by examples. Show by examples. While if the question has requested you to describe, what are you doing? You provide detailed features for and against. While determine, that can also come. As I've indicated, there are some that are quite popular, and the action verb describe, always in exam, so you must know it, you must understand it better so that you'll be able to answer the questions that might ask you to describe. Okay. When you are determining, you use provided information in order to work out the answer. So the information is already provided, you just have to find a way to get to the answer. Distinguish. This is also becoming popular these days in examination. So if you are asked to distinguish, So definitely what you are doing is you look at you describe two phenomena, and then you query giving differences of the two phenomena. We continue with the action verbs. Look at the word estimate. In this case, what are you doing? You give the impact of something, how something is impacting on others. Evaluate. Evaluate, here you need to determine the value of something as per the criteria that are already set. Explain. You describe by indicating relationships between things. Describe by indicating relationships between things. So explain is also one of the popular words. You should understand it inside out so that you'll be able to tackle the question that's directing you to describe by indicating relationships between things. Find. When you are told to find, what are you doing? You calculate, you measure, you determine. As simple as that. We continue with the action verbs. Again, as I said, you should understand these action verbs only when we are able to tackle any question. Identify. If you're identifying, what are you doing? You recognize and you name. Simple as that. You don't have to write a lot of things here because you're only recognizing and you're only naming. That's basically it. Illustrate. Describe with examples. You must be able to describe with examples. It's when you are giving the illustration. Interpret. Describe something, explain the meaning based on graphical information in most cases. Examine. You must be able to identify detailed features of something that you are examining. If the question requires you to examine, so you have to identify detailed features of something. List. Present a list of facts, names, objects, etc. Simple. You don't have to describe if you are required to list. You just give a list. You just present in that short form. Outline. Give an overview and indicate the main features. So this is also one of the popular verb that I usually use in examination. So if you are outlining, you give an overview and indicate the main features. So you have to write. And summarize. When you are summarizing, you are basically focusing on main ideas. You don't need to give examples. So it should be clear as such. Now we go into the presentation. Here, ladies and gentlemen, when you are given these slides, it does not mean that you only focus on those slides and you master only on those slides and you copy and paste and memorize. No, it's simply a guidelines. Because as a student of life orientation, life skills, you must equip yourself with necessary information. Of course, you should read the objectives of each unit of the book that is given to you, or of the modules that are given to you. However, you need to expand that. You cannot only limit yourself to that, but you can go to the internet and acquire information that are related to what you are learning, the content of the module that you are studying. You must also be able to read some more books that are prescribed in this module that can equip yourself and expand the knowledge and skills that you need to acquire for you to deal with the questions in examination. You can also do it for curiosity reasons because, as a teacher, you are a source of information. That's what learners are looking at you. They are looking at you that you are a source of information. You are able to acquire more information wherever at your disposal. So the first information here says, describe how we can show people that we value, love, and respect them. In the society that we live, This is also needed, not only in the classroom situation, but we are talking about today the society. So you must be able to describe how we can show people that we value. How can we do that? That we love. How can we do that? That we respect them. Go back to your module, get that information, and then utilize it in examination. Discuss how one should love their neighbor or all people based on what the Bible says. Not all of us are Christians, but the subject is directing us that we need to consult. We need to read what the Bible is saying, what the Bible says about this. We should live, or you should love others, our neighbors, all people that are surrounding us, as far as the Bible is concerned. We live in a multicultural society, and our learners that we teach on daily basis, they are from different religious backgrounds. And as teachers now, we should read this in order to equip ourselves and understand others and show them love as far as the Bible is concerned. Suggest ways in which to develop one's unselfish attitudes and behavior. People are having different attitudes. They are having different thinking. And we do not want unselfishness in our society. So now this is directing us the ways that we can develop to make sure that we don't behave as selfish people. And the moment we teach the learners how to behave without selfishness, we are instilling better attitudes and better beliefs into the children that are of the next generation. Describe the qualities and the roles of inspirational or religious leaders in society. We have leaders that we are looking at. Everybody is inspired by someone. Now, what are those qualities that somebody is looking at? For you to say that you are inspired by an individual, what are the qualities that you are looking at? Or maybe you are inspired by a religious leader in your society. What are these? What are the roles of this particular religious leader that you are looking at? You go back to your books. All this information that I'm presenting is there. So equip yourself. Describe the role of the Council of Churches in Namibia. We have this body. It has been there, Council of Churches in Namibia. So now what we are going to do is to describe what are their roles. You should understand the roles of the Council of Churches in Namibia. Describe the role of the traditional healers in Namibia. We are talking about this. And there are of recent, if you equip yourself with the recent development, this issue of the traditional healers has been quite being spoken about in Namibia, whereby we have these different traditional healers. They claim to be traditional healers, and some of them, they are reaping the citizens' money and so forth. So you should equip yourself with this. Some of this, for you to answer this type of questions, you need to equip yourself and understand the recent development. So now, there are some traditional healers that were given that authority. They were authorized to operate in Namibia, but they have to give certification that shows that they are very traditional healers. So what are their roles now in Namibia? Describe one African traditional naming ceremony. In an African culture, there is a certain way, or there are certain ceremonies of naming a child. How is it done? So you go back to your book, your module, then you will get a picture of what I'm talking about. Excuse me. Describe a traditional funeral ceremony. The way we bury our loved ones. it might not be this. It might not be the same from tradition to tradition. What they do in Zambezi is not the same, perhaps what they do in Rehoboth, or what they do in the north. Different culture do it in different ways. You should understand this, and you must be able to describe the traditional ceremony of traditional funeral ceremony, how they conduct this. Explain why traditional leaders are mostly older people. You would agree with me. If you look around, you see that most of the traditional healers are older people. Why is it like this? Even though now there are new blood that are being appointed as traditional leaders. But look in the past, what has happened? Most of these people are old. What can be the reason behind this action? Discuss how sinful people and criminal could be assisted to live a healthy life again. No one wants to be a criminal forever. Most of these people, when they go to prison, they regret, and they want to be integrated in the community as new people. So what can be done to help them to make sure that their lives are revived? They are living with the community in a better environment once more again. And the other aspect that you should also be able to do is to define AC, Anno Domini, and BC, before Christ. What do they mean? A deeper definition, apart from just the meaning of the acronyms, but get to the deeper understanding of what are these AC, Anno Domini, and BC, before Christ. What do they really mean? What are they really referring to? Describe the nature of worship in churches. Different churches worship differently. And there are many churches now in Namibia, and they do it in different ways when they are worshiping. So get that better understanding. Some of you see this on daily basis. Some of you maybe have heard about it, but what is it saying also in your modules? You must also be able to discuss the persecution and crucifixion of Jesus. Jesus was crucified. Jesus was persecuted. Can you discuss what has really happened within these two festivals or within these two events? We continue with the presentation. Relate the development of spiritual values to our happiness. Development of spiritual values to our happiness. Everybody wants to be happy. Can you connect now or relate the spiritual values to our happiness? What is really happening? What makes us happy? How can you relate this to happiness? You must also be able to explain how to improve your self-image, because everybody wants to have a better self-image. You want to view things differently. You want to be viewed differently. So you should be able to explain how to improve your self-image. Explain how to prepare yourself for a job interview. These days, ladies and gentlemen, maybe now you are not employed and you want to be a teacher. You have to go through interview. Perhaps you are a head of department and you want to be a principal. Maybe you are a principal. You want to be an inspector, deputy director, or a director, and so forth. You have to go through interview. So explain now how to prepare yourself to make sure that you get that job that you want. So there are some tips that you need to follow. Dressing code, doing research, just rehearsals, etc. Discuss appropriate work habits and behavior. Most of the people are getting fired, you are losing job because you are not adhering to the guidelines or to the set ethics, work ethics. So you can discuss about this. You must also be able to describe the meaning of Passover, Easter, and Christmas. Now we are talking about Christianity, and this is not only in Christianity terms. It can also be found in other religions. So you must be able to describe the meanings of these Passover, Easter, as well as Christmas. Explain why one should forgive and reconcile with other people. You cannot hold grudges against someone forever. At times you should come to peace. And you should also, as a teacher, should educate the learners about this. So you should be able to explain why should forgive and reconcile with other people important. Why should you reconcile with other people? You must also be able to explain why there should be rules in a society. You can just imagine a society without rules. It's quite interesting. If there is a society without rules, how people will behave, how they will treat others, how should they, conduct themselves. It's a story and a half. Relate inner peace to values. Inner peace. Everybody wants inner peace. How can you connect to values? Distinguish between fun and happiness. Fun and happiness. So are they the same? If you are saying I'm having fun, is it the same with happiness? So you must be able to distinguish between the two. You should also be able to explain children all over the world tips. I think you should ignore that. Explain the emotional, financial, and practical responsibilities. What are the emotional, the financial, and practical responsibilities of an individual? If we can go back, that was supposed to be explain the children's rights. You should explain the children's rights all over the world. Children's rights all over the world. That's how it was supposed to be read. Pardon me. Explain how to maintain positive interpersonal relationships or relations. How to maintain positive interpersonal relations. Ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of this presentation. I would like to urge you to prepare thoroughly for examination. Examination can be cumbersome to an individual, and it might also have a catastrophic results, but only if you did not prepare yourself nicely. But if you prepare yourself, you'll be able to overcome this cumbersome exercise. So I would like to urge you to revise all the units in your book. And once more, go back to the verbs that I have alluded to at the very beginning of the presentation. Understand what each requires you to do, and utilize the experience that you have acquired so far as a teacher, as the head of the department, as a student at IOL. You have acquired more information because you have been reading different sources, and you have acquired the necessary information that you can utilize in the examination, and you can plow back in the classroom. Do not leave, please, I repeat, do not leave any question unattended, because it's a habit. The moment you leave it unattended, without an attempt, you are causing a different result that will have negative consequences in your study. So please try to answer all the questions that are asked in the exam. Consult some other sources for skills and knowledge expansion. We are talking about internet, reading books in the library, discussing. Some students went extra miles to create WhatsApp groups where they can interact and share information that they need in order to get more knowledge in the subject. All the best of luck. My mobiles are 0811480977 or 0812531801. So please contact me between 8 in the morning and 5 in the afternoon. on the weekdays only, so please not over weekends. My email address is t_shikukumo@yahoo.co.uk. I wish you all the best and thank you very much for listening to my presentation.